Okay, welcome everyone. Hello, this is Claire, and this is the third installment we're doing of our pre-videos leading up to our Jumpstart meeting, our live virtual meeting on Saturday, April 17th, which is coming up in just under a week when you get access to this video. It's about a week from now. We're super excited to do this live meeting again. We did one in December and it went great. And so we're just making it even better this time. So leading up to this meeting, we've done a couple videos about some different topics. And I'm really excited today to have Lauren Williamson from the Parkinson Foundation, because I really want to highlight the Parkinson Foundation. This meeting that we're doing, the Jumpstart meeting, is done because of support we received from the community grant from the Parkinson Foundation. And we also received funding from them for other programs as well that we've been able to do here at Rogue. And that has been really exciting over the past year. Even despite the challenges that have come along with COVID, we've been able to do some new and different and really great things because of the funding from the Parkinson Foundation. So I'm really excited to be able to highlight their work, and they do a lot of other great work as well. And then one of our main goals with this Jumpstart meeting is to let people know, especially in the Orange County, California area, what are the local resources and events and things that are happening that people can get involved in. And we're really lucky to have a strong chapter in California with the Parkinson Foundation and events that are happening right here in Orange County. So we want to make sure that people know about those. And the cool thing about Parkinson Foundation is they are nationwide and even international. So even for people who are joining us from other locations, this is an organization that you can definitely look up and see where is the closest, chapter or meetings and events that are happening. And they also do a lot of things virtually now online, even more than they did before with COVID. So no matter where you are, you can access, the events and resources from the Parkinson's Foundation. So thank you, Lauren, so much for joining today to share a little more information and details about all the work that Parkinson Foundation does. So I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit more and give us more information.
Thank you. And thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this really wonderful thing that you guys have put together. It's so great, and we are happy to support and happy to be a part of it. So I am Lauren Williamson, and I am the development manager for the Parkinson's Foundation here in Orange County. I cover Orange County, but I also kind of dip into San Diego and the Inland Empire as well. And we do have, as Claire mentioned, staff across the country. So if you are tuning in from somewhere else, I will make sure to cover opportunities for you to find resources in your local area as well. So I'll go ahead and share my screen now. I have a little bit of information for everybody. So here is my contact information. If anybody has questions about anything I talk about today, or anything else that the foundation does, or just questions in general, you are welcome to reach out to me. So first, I'll just talk about the foundation in general. So the Parkinson's Foundation is a national nonprofit organization, and our mission is to make life better for people with Parkinson's disease. And we want to do that by improving care for everybody with Parkinson's and making sure they're living their best life today. We want to advance research toward a cure, so we invest in research, different projects every year and throughout the years. And we empower and educate our global Parkinson's community. So that means that we believe that the more people know and the more they can be their own advocate, the more likely it is that they are going to live their best life with Parkinson's disease, and we want to help that happen. We are a national organization, as I mentioned, and we are broken into 5 different regions. So for us, for everybody who's in California right now, we are the Western region, that kind of light blue area on the left that you can see. And each of the little P logos are chapters. So as mentioned, we are a California chapter. And then we are also in 8 countries abroad. So for anybody tuning in from anywhere else, you can kind of see where your region might be and where your chapters are. Just because there's not a chapter in your area does not mean that there are not resources available for you. This is just where we do kind of the bulk of our programming and events. So we have a variety of ways that we connect with the Parkinson's community and help people who have Parkinson's disease and their support group and their support network. The first is community events. So that those are things such as our signature event, our moving day walk, and our new Parkinson's Revolution Cycle event. I'll share a little bit more about that in a few slides. We also have local educational programs. So those are programs that we hold throughout the year, usually in person. This year they have primarily been virtual, but we bring together expert speakers and people who are local to the community to cover a certain topic. And those topics change with each of our events. We usually have a few a year. The last one we did here in Orange County was demystifying Parkinson's research, and we had Dr. Claire Henchcliffe from UC Irvine and Dr. Litvan from UCSD as our expert speakers to come talk to us about that. So we usually base those topics off of what we hear from the community that they would like to have covered. We also have our PD Health at Home series. This started during COVID as a way to reach everybody virtually, but it has been so successful that we have extended it. And I don't know when we plan to end it because it is doing so well, so we might see it continue indefinitely. Topics on these PD Health at Home series are things like Mindfulness Monday, Wellness Wednesday, and Fitness Friday. So each of those cover a different area that we like to support for mental and physical health. We have our expert briefings, which are similar to our local educational events, but are all held online. We have a podcast. We have training programs where we can train nurses and physical therapists and things of that nature so they can bring that back to their medical facility and help close the gaps between training in Parkinson specific care and people at large facilities, making sure that they have access to that. And then we have community grants, which you heard Claire speak a little bit about, where we fund local programs to make sure that the resources are available locally, whether that means helping fund an existing program or expanding on one that's already there, or implementing something new that is lacking in a local community. And then we also have our resources and our kits. So right in the middle of the screen, you'll see those 3 books right there. That is just a sample of the many different topics that we cover in our resource books. They are topic specific because no person's Parkinson's symptoms look the same as anybody else's. They're all very unique. And we've made these very easy to digest. So if somebody has one symptom and not another, you can pick and choose which of these are applicable to you. And they are written really simply for people like you and me. They're not, high-level medical books. These are specific for day-to-day use and knowledge for people who have PD or helping to take care of somebody with PD. And then we have our Aware and Care Kit, which you can see at the bottom right. This is a hospitalization kit. Our research shows that 3 of 4 people who enter the hospital, if they have Parkinson's disease, are not receiving their medication on time. And we are trying to improve that statistic. We urge everybody to have one of these kits. And in it are resources for you to be your advocate, to make sure you're receiving the best care possible when you are entering the hospital, whether you're entering it for a Parkinson's related reason or something completely separate. In there, there's information for what types of medications are available to be taken with your Parkinson's medication. There's a medication log to make sure you're getting all of that on time. And, just like a medical alert badge as well.
Oh, yeah.
All of these resources, yes.
I was just going to say, since our Jumpstart meeting is specifically for people newly diagnosed, I think it's so great for people to know, about all these resources and the Aware and Care Kit in particular. I think sometimes people think, oh, hospitalization related to Parkinson's is in a later stage. But what Lauren shared is that she had a knee replacement and how helpful it was going into an elective surgery that was, completely separate from Parkinson's. But just to have all the doctors and nurses on the same page and really have the plan in place. And I think her, surgery and brief hospitalization and recovery afterwards were so much, everything was better because of that pre-planning. And so just to make sure, anybody watching this, especially if you're recently diagnosed, just to know that this is super relevant, even if your hospitalization does have nothing to do with Parkinson's and is completely separate or elective. Because that's sometimes I think, people just kind of think of that something that might be more important later on. But I think it's something that is very relevant now. And also, I think the more prepared people are, the less likely they are to need something like that. So that's also what I tell people when sometimes, we give them out as part of our program that's funded by the grant. And I always explain that because I just think, sometimes people don't think of those kinds of things as how helpful it will be and why it's important to have even early on.
Absolutely. That is such a great point to be made. I think, like you said, the more prepared you are, the better you will feel going into these things. So absolutely, great point. And I was just going to add that these resources, so the Aware and Care Kit and the books that we're talking about, as well as our local educational events and programs, are always offered for free. There is not a charge for these. So you can order them by calling our helpline or going online, and I'll share both of those avenues to do that at the end of the presentation. We also have a newly diagnosed kit. So this is something we are very excited about and very proud of that we just rolled out probably in the last 12 to 18 months or so. And the goal here is to really help people in the early stages of being diagnosed to not feel so overwhelmed and to not really feel like they don't know where to start. We hear that time and again that people leave, the doctor's appointment where they hear their diagnosis and they just don't know what to do next. And they feel alone and worried, and it can be very overwhelming. So our aim with this newly diagnosed kit is to kind of provide a little bit of a roadmap for the early stages of diagnosis and to help guide you with the many questions that people may have upon diagnosis. So in this kit, we have a one sheet on key questions for your doctor because sometimes people don't know what they don't know. We also have facts about Parkinson's disease. We have our resource information and our helpline number, which is our toll-free number. We have a letter from somebody else who has Parkinson's disease and a few other resources that we really hope can inspire and support people in their early diagnosis. This is also available for free. It can also be ordered in a hard copy, or you can download it on our website as well. Again, I'll make sure you have all of that information at the end.
Yeah, and that's also, so the exercise program that we have funded by the grant right now, when people get started, we give them a bag and it includes this newly diagnosed packet we had. It includes the hospital kit, and then we kind of choose of the books on the different topics. We pick the ones that are relevant for that person. I don't actually know exactly how many there are, but we go through and there's one that is about getting started on the right foot and exercise. And then I kind of just ask people, which of these topics are the most interesting to you or you feel like are the most relevant for you. And we give them that bag at the beginning. And pretty much every single time people are like, why didn't I get something like this at the doctor's office? And I'm always like, I'm not quite sure, because it would make a lot of sense. I feel like doctor's offices, they're there to kind of make the diagnosis, get started with medication. But most doctors I know, even movement disorders, they don't necessarily have kind of a packet of information to give people or help them know, on the internet, what are the, most trustworthy sources of information. Because, if you go Google it, there's all sorts of information out there. Some is good, some is bad. It's nearly impossible to know, what is or isn't helpful. And so this, I feel like, is, just a very trustworthy organization that has been around for a long time, does a lot of great work. And so, doctors don't need to reinvent the wheel and develop all their own materials. But that's something I'm like, well, you could let your doctor know that you received this and it was very helpful, and, just help encourage them to consider having those kinds of packets, that they could have these packets ready to go. And people just have, every single time we give them, they're like, this is so helpful. This is great information. Often, I think it's even what they want is something in their hand as opposed to something on the internet that's a little bit harder to read and navigate. So yeah, it's been really fun to be able to give that people this information, and they just say it's so helpful and it's exactly what they feel like they needed, during this stage. It's kind of amazing. We are getting more people now who are like within weeks of their diagnosis. People are telling them about us, which is great because they come in and get started with exercise. And I think just being around people like on a regular basis helps to be able to ask those questions. Even if your doctor is wonderful, you see them once and then maybe not again for a couple months. And so just having a place to ask those questions on kind of a regular basis to start with, I think is so helpful. So yeah, it's been really cool to have those, and we've gotten really good feedback about it so far.
We love to hear that. I mean, that is exactly what all of this was meant for. And, we really hope that we are working towards getting this in doctors' offices. We want this to be that easily accessible, and we want it to be immediate. We don't want that lag time between people leaving the doctor's office until they discover these. So, we are working hard with, local medical facilities, and we really do want to get these in their hands just to get it to patients as quickly as possible. So we're so thankful for Claire and Lauren for helping with that. And I agree, having it in hand is always nice, especially because you can put your own notes, and if you go to a doctor's office, your doctor's visit, and you want to bring it with you with a notepad, you can keep it all in one place. So it's definitely, I always recommend getting the hard copy. Something else that the foundation is doing right now is a new study called PD Generation, or PD Gene for short. This is the first of its kind that we're doing, and it's a national initiative. And we are basically offering genetic testing and genetic counseling for free for people who have Parkinson's disease, so that they can learn whether or not their specific Parkinson's disease may have a genetic component. A lot of times we are hearing that people are wondering if their Parkinson's disease came from one of their parents, and even more so than that, they're wondering if this is something that their children or future generations may need to keep in mind for their own health. So this is a really amazing study. We are so excited by it. And initially, and for anybody who may have heard about it previously, we were only able to enroll people at designated medical centers, and the closest one to Orange County was in San Diego. But now we are very excited that we actually have an at-home kit where people can enroll from home. So you have a medical intake form that you fill out, and it walks you through getting, swabbing and getting all of that information. You get it sent in, and they go through and they analyze the results. And, you probably have heard of things like 23andMe. Yes, this is similar to a 23andMe, but we look at far more of the genetic components and genetic mutations than a 23andMe. So this is a much more in-depth look and provides a much more accurate and much more in-depth results for us to analyze and to share with you or with the person enrolling. So this is really helping us understand a lot more about the different types of Parkinson's and how differently it can affect many people and where some of these cases are coming from. And with that information, we are then able to advance our own research, the research that we invest in, and the types of trials and studies that are happening. So not only is this so wonderful to do for all of those reasons, but it is also so wonderful to do for the people that have Parkinson's, because it gives them a look into what they have in their potential potentially in their family and genetics as well. So again, this is open to anybody who has Parkinson's disease right now. We're hoping maybe one day it can be expanded to people who have someone with Parkinson's in their family, but right now it is for the person with Parkinson's disease. You can find out more at parkinson.org/PDgeneration. So this is really wonderful, and we're really excited about this too.
Yeah, this is one of the questions I feel like that is so common at the beginning, is people saying, is Parkinson's genetic? And the problem is it's not as simple as saying yes or no, because there are certain genes that are identified that really significantly increase the risk of getting Parkinson's, but it still isn't the kind of genetic, it's not like an absolute. As far as I know, there's almost no genes that say if you have this gene, you're definitely going to get Parkinson's. It's more about having increased risk. But that's basically, Parkinson's there's genetic predisposition, and some of that is understood with certain genes, and some of it is just not that well understood yet. And then it's kind of how our genes and we interact with our environment. So certain exposure, to different things, but it's so complex. And so I think when someone just asks a question like, is it genetic or not? They'll get a simple answer. And often, like, I'm in, some Facebook groups, and a lot of times they'll say, no, Parkinson's isn't genetic. And that is not true. But it's also, the answer isn't just yes either. So this is great. And I also think the difference with 23andMe doesn't offer any counseling, correct? Like, you just get your results.
Correct.
And that's what kind of the big limitation with those kinds of genetic testing is, like, you really, I think ethically, the thought is with genetic testing is you should never just be sent information without having someone explain what it means, because otherwise, like, you get all this kind of technical, complicated information, and you don't know what it means. And so then you don't know, what does that actually mean for me? What does that mean for my kids? And that almost can be worse than not knowing what that information is. So that, I think, is the big difference too, is like you were saying, kind of how in-depth and looking at Parkinson's specifically, but also I think that counseling is huge. That really, like, nobody really should be getting genetic testing without having counseling along with it.
Yes, that is a very good point. And yes, we do the counseling with the results. So once you are a part of the study, then you do receive that counseling, and they go over everything with you. And, yes, correct. We don't know 100% what causes Parkinson's disease, but part of this is helping us understand what might make somebody more likely to develop Parkinson's disease in their life over others. And, yes, genetics can be a factor, but sometimes genetics is not a factor, or we don't see that, genetic marker, so to speak, for somebody being more apt to develop it. So this is also a really interesting way for some people to kind of know that that wasn't the case with theirs, and that might be part of the results that you receive. So it really is just so beneficial in so many ways, not just for the individuals, but like I said, too, for the Parkinson's community at large, and our understanding of where we can kind of move the needle in ways of advancing things.
Yeah. And, if they do find that they have genes that would potentially put their children at increased risk, sometimes people will say, well, it doesn't matter because there's no, cure or prevention treatment yet. And it's true, there's no medical treatment, but there's a lot of research that says, exercise in midlife decreases risk for Parkinson's. And there are some dietary patterns and some other things. So, if someone does have that genetic profile, then their kids can certainly make adjustments to their lifestyle and have a good chance at either prolonging the time till they have Parkinson's, maybe preventing it completely. So even though there isn't, necessarily like a medication or treatment yet that would stop Parkinson's or prevent it, there are a lot of lifestyle factors that make a huge difference. And so people really could influence, kids could influence their risk going forward. So that's pretty cool. And I definitely think that's like a whole nother major area of research is, what can be done to prevent it in people who are at increased risk. And its lifestyle factors are a big part of that.
definitely. I absolutely agree with that. I would echo everything you said. And I also think, in addition to that, having the knowledge and being prepared, not just to kind of, like you said, address those lifestyle things, but also if something does come up, kind of making sure that it's addressed early on, because, how many times have we heard, it took people a year to actually get a diagnosis. Something does come up, it might allow to have a shorter time and address it early on, because as Claire mentioned, there are things that you can do to do symptom management and, progression management and things like that. So, yeah, PD Gene, well worth it.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we are a national organization, but we are a California chapter. So we do have a heavy amount of our programs and events and opportunities to get involved here in California. So just in California alone, we have funded 16 different researchers with our grants that have totaled close to $1 million. We have distributed close to 100,000 of our publications that I told you about, those books. We've had 3,600 people participate in our educational programs, and we have had over 15,000 people come together with our community moving day walks, which have raised over $3 million. So, we really are proud of the fact that while we are national and we do have a very wide reach, we understand the importance of local funding and local community support. And, that's really something that we strive to put out there. A lot of times with these big nonprofits, you don't really get to see the impact. And that's something that we are very proud of. We like to know people in our communities. I personally like to see everybody's faces, and I know people on a personal level, and it's because of things like this, like our events and, programs like Claire and Lauren are doing. So that being said, I would like to share that you always have the opportunity to get involved with the foundation in a number of ways. We really rely on a collaboration with our Parkinson's community. It's how we know what we're doing is what is needed. It's how we measure our success. If the Parkinson's community is feeling good about what we're doing, then we know we are investing in the right things and putting our time, energy, and funds in the right areas. So different ways that you can get involved. You can be a part of any of our events. So we have our Moving Day event, which is our signature walk. We have our Parkinson's Revolution, which is our new cycle event, and our educational programs, which hopefully coming soon in the upcoming months and next season, we'll be back to being in person. You can be an Aware and Care ambassador, which is somebody who helps share the importance of our Aware and Care kits and get them into medical facilities and in the hands of people with Parkinson's disease. We're always looking for volunteers of all sorts. We also have a People with Parkinson's Council and Research Advocates, which work with us who work with us on a national level to help guide our strategic initiatives and the things that we are investing in as a large foundation. So if anybody's interested in any of those things, you can reach out to me or our helpline number. So now I'll just take a few minutes just to talk about our local events here in Orange County. I'll preface this by saying if you are listening to this and you are not in Orange County, one, there is still ways to get involved this year because we are still doing a lot of virtual aspects. So there's that. And also you can look on our website for local opportunities near you if you are in an area that also hosts these events. So for Orange County specifically, our Moving Day Walk, in non-COVID years, this would be a community event where everybody would come out together for kind of a half day. It would have different components that revolved around movement and exercise, because we know that that is one of the top ways that you can manage Parkinson's symptoms and improve quality of life with exercising daily and regularly. So typically we would come out, we would meet, there would be a 5K walk, we would have different exercise demonstrations, we'd have exhibitor booths and foundation information, all of our resources available, and really just have a way to bring everybody together to celebrate movement and get resources and information and meet other people. So this year it will look a bit different. The primary portion of the event will be virtual on May 22nd. This graphic in the middle here with the purple signage is a sample of what our virtual platform will look like. It will be, of course, blue, Parkinson's blue, and it'll look like the foundation logos and all of that, but it will still look somewhat like an outdoor event, and it will be interactive. So it won't be something where you just sit and watch. We kind of still wanted to make sure people could actually participate in something. So each of the little tents that you see will be different booths, so you can go into that booth and visit it. There will be different exercise demonstrations, but you will be able to pick and choose the ones that are interesting to you. If you feel like doing yoga, you can click into the yoga demo. If you feel like doing rock steady boxing, you can click into that demo. All different exercise demonstrations available. We will have some featured speakers from the Orange County area. So it'll be people that are here locally for us or whatever event you're attending. And there will also be interactive things, like we're going to have a little scavenger hunt in there, and you'll be able to visit our sponsor booths, and there will be live chat features too. So if you are visiting if Rogue Physical Therapy had a booth, you could go in there and live chat with Claire, ask questions, learn about the classes that she has and the programs that she's running. So we're feeling pretty good about it. Even though it's virtual, we think this is going to be a really great setup and really give the opportunity for people to engage and hopefully meet some new people and try some new exercises. So that will be May 22nd. On the day before that, we will be hosting a little mini drive-through where participants and teams could come out and pick up any fundraising rewards they've earned. So we offer rewards for different fundraising levels. You can get t-shirts, water bottles, things like that. And we'll have a little bit of a moving day, like photo opportunity set up too. And people can take a picture with their team and pick up their rewards and get information from some of our resource providers as well. So that we will be doing the day before. And then every weekend, starting this weekend actually, we will be having movement and walking meetups. So this is really just us leaning into that exercise aspect of Moving Day. You know, with a virtual event, we still wanted to make sure people are actually moving for Moving Day. The idea here is that it allows people to participate at their own COVID comfort level. They can come out and walk alone if they would like. You can come out with your team if you want to do that, if they're in your COVID bubble, or if you are comfortable, you know, being out with others, then you can come out and meet other people who will be out there walking as well. And hopefully the idea would be that by participating in these walks, it gives you kind of a set time to commit yourself to that movement. And you could set a goal of actually walking the equivalent of a 5K by May 22nd, which is what we normally would do on Moving Day itself. So we are starting that if you're watching this after the after the 17th, then there will be a new one. But if you're watching it prior, or you might not get it before then. Well, let me know if anybody's interested. We'll be doing it every weekend. We're partnering with All Trails, and we are using them to select a different location each week to meet up. So you can come out and walk. You can use the activity tracker in the Moving Day app and earn your walking rewards that way too. If you're not signed up for Moving Day yet, you can visit movingdayorangecounty.org and you can register to sign up. It's free to participate. If you are not in Orange County but you still want to walk, you can visit movingdaywalk.org and find one close to you or participate virtually.
And so if someone registers for the walk, then they would get like emails that would tell them each weekend where the location is. Is
Yes,
that kind of how to know where it happens each weekend?
yes, yes. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, once you are a registered participant, we send out an email notification and announcement of the walk 1 week prior. So after this weekend's walk, we'll send out the next one, and it'll be in a different location. We're trying to make it convenient for people to participate from different areas of Orange County. So hopefully there will be at least one weekend that is pretty close to you, if not more than one.
Cool.
Our next event is a new event. It is Parkinson's Revolution, and it is a stationary bike cycling event. So for all of you Peloton riders or anybody who goes to spin classes or spin studios, this one would be something really fun for you. This is the first time we're hosting it in Orange County. However, last year, right before COVID, we did have 5 Parkinson Revolution events in different areas across the country that did really well. So we are very excited to be expanding it this year and hosting it in Orange County for the first time. It will be on Saturday, June 12th at Moxie Studios in Costa Mesa. They have a really wonderful outdoor setup right now, so it's very COVID friendly. They have their stationary bikes outside under a tent, so you are in a shaded area and the bikes are spaced out. So it's a really great opportunity to kind of ease back into us all being able to gather in person. The class, I forgot to put on here, but the class is at 12:30, and it will host approximately 30 to 40 in-person riders. And then for anybody who would prefer to participate virtually, or if we run out of in-person bikes, we will have a virtual event happening at the same time that you can participate on at home. Or if you are a person who prefers to go bike like on a real moving bike out in the fresh air, then you can do that too as a virtual participant, and you can ride at your leisure and know that you are doing it in honor of Parkinson's Revolution. So this one, again, free to sign up. We do hope that people who sign up for Revolution and Moving Day will help us with fundraising efforts, because the money we raise from these events are how we fund everything else I talked about in the presentation today. So to join us at Revolution, you can visit pdrevolutionoc.org. Again, if you are not in Orange County right now, we do have other events. You can visit pdrevolution.org or parkinson.org to find an event closer to you or to participate virtually. And this last slide, I'll just go ahead and leave up as we wrap up. So if anybody wants to jot any of this information down, our website is parkinson.org. If you're looking specifically for California chapter or local Orange County things, you can visit parkinson.org California. That is where we announce our local educational programs. So you can always check back on there to see what is up and coming. Same thing on our Facebook. We have a local California chapter Facebook. We often do event announcements on there too. So I will also be announcing our movement walks on there and reminders about Moving Day and Revolution. And then for any of the resource order forms, or to place a resource order, or with any questions that you have, you can always call our 1-800 number. It's 1-800-4PD-INFO. It is staffed by professionals, so registered nurses, social workers. They're all there to answer any question that you have, and we do have bilingual people that staff that line as well. And I actually forgot to mention that our resource books come in different languages as well. You can find them on our website, or when you call the helpline, they can tell you what books are available in what languages. We're working on expanding our library, so they're not all available in multiple languages right now, but we do have a few that are. So, and in Spanish, we do have our complete set in Spanish, but we're working on Mandarin and a few others. You can also email helpline@parkinson.org, and then my contact information if you have questions specifically about Orange County or just wanted to talk to me about anything. I'm always here. Questions, support, just need somebody to talk to. or want to get involved or volunteer, if you need help signing up for events, anything like that, my virtual door and email and phone number are always open. So thank you so much for allowing me to share all of this with you today.
Thank you so much for coming on. I feel like I stay pretty up to date with things, but still, just hearing all of it, there is so much that Parkinson Foundation is doing. And I think, things that are helpful to anyone, no matter when they're diagnosed, but especially, I know there is a huge focus on really getting resources and helping people who are newly diagnosed to really get started and kind of calm, any anxiety and fears that are going on. So thank you so much for sharing all of this. It was great to kind of see it all in one place, and see kind of the updates and the new things that are happening. So yeah, I'm excited to get this posted onto YouTube, and I will be sharing it on YouTube and probably post it on social media sooner than later. And then we'll email it out to everyone who is coming to our live meeting. And then we'll be able to also kind of share it as a resource once we have our live meeting on the 17th. If anybody wants to, hear things in more detail, because I don't know exactly how long we were just on this call, but it was a little while. I'm not sure exactly how long this video will be, but when you start to go into all the details of everything, that Parkinson Foundation is doing, it's a lot. So it takes a little bit of time. So I'm glad we had a chance for you to be able to go through, in all this detail. So we can share that as a resource to everyone who comes live to our meeting as well. Since at that meeting, for the most part, we kind of have, shorter time slots because we want to share as much as possible about all the different resources. So it'll be good for people to come and check this video out afterwards if they didn't get a chance to watch it before too. All right. Well, thank you
Yes.
again so much. And yeah, we will share this and anyone can contact you if there's more questions. And I hope you have a great weekend and week.